I'm joined now, Alan Carpenter, joined by Sam Allen and Sam Allen. If you don't know the name, you will in the Purdue community. Of course, a 1975 Purdue grad. He also did some things in the business world that we'll get to with John Deere. But the new Sam and Marcia Allen Clubhouse off of the Burke Boilermaker Golf Complex. It was dedicated last Saturday morning, and Sam and Marcia and family were there. But Sam, I always think about it. First impressions of everything. It was your first chance to really see it, though you have donated to make this facility happen. But talk about that and just that experience of walking in there for the first time and seeing what the fruits of a lot of your work from a financial standpoint come to fruition.
Yeah, I had seen the outside a couple times, but never had been on the inside. But I really liked the outside, and it's come along well. And I think it's my belief was it needed to be a building that would stand the test of time and would be the building that you'd still be proud of 50 years from now. And I think they've accomplished that. But boy, when I went inside, first floor, it was just fantastic. The wood is really rich looking. And what it really confirmed, we had 3 sites originally, 3 proposals for this clubhouse. The other 2 were on the other side of the road.
Yeah.
And this was by far the most expensive, but the argument was if we could get it there, put it up on the hillside, the backside, you'll have these beautiful views of the golf course. And that, when we sat in the room that eventually you'd be dining in downstairs, but they had chairs and they had a little podium, people were speaking, and it was all glass windows along the back. And you see the 18th hole and the green right out front. It's just a really, really nice setting, very top notch. And then we had the good fortune to go upstairs where they're going to have the more formal steakhouse. Yeah. And we ended up having with the family, they let us do a sampling of what they're going to be offering. And the ambience up there is just second to none. It is as nice of a restaurant that I've been in anywhere in Atlanta, for example. Yeah. And the meal was very, very good as well. So I think they did it right on the main level. It'll be great for golfers. It still has a high touch of class to it. But then when you get to go upstairs and have a steak up there, or you sit at that bar, I think it's a 40-person bar, and they have an oyster bar and everything. It's definitely first rate, and made me feel even better that the money was well spent.
Yeah, the Boiler House Prime, sponsor of our Saturday simulcast, the Union Club Hotel involved with that. And I hear things, and of course, Sam's mentioning when you look out, you're looking south onto the Ackerman Allen course, which named also for the Allen family and Jim Ackerman. But you think about that, and you played at Purdue, came to Purdue, and played on the golf team, and played on the Old South course, played on the North course, I'm sure, a few times as well. Can you imagine what these complexes have become? Since I think the Camp and Costler course was built in '97, but it's just it's a staggering situation for someone that loves golf like you do.
Yeah, and certainly, as I mentioned during my remarks, I wouldn't have done this if it was not for Devin Browse really coming after me. But he introduced me to Pete Dye. And if you ever get to know Pete Dye, he's passed away now, but just a effervescent person, a vision on golf. And he's the one that kept telling me, hey, we're going to have 2 great golf. First of all, he sold me on supporting the Ackerman Allen golf course. Right. But then he kept dripping on me about, now we got 2 great golf courses. Now we just got to have a clubhouse commensurate with this. And you're going to get people coming in from all over. And I think he's right. I think this will be a destination now for a lot of people that just love golf but also want to have a nice meal, etc.
Yeah, it is the perfect thing. And I think you're right with the vision of putting it right in the middle of the old Cherry Lane. Now Cherry Lane has a roundabout around it. Really was in retrospect, an extremely smart move, because that view and the Camp and Costler course is amazing what Pete Dye did with that. nearly 30 years ago, all the land that was moved and making that into a, the old North course was a flat, windy, difficult at times course. This is a wonderful piece of land. And then, of course, in 2016, was it 2016 when the Ackerman Allen was redone? Nobody quite like Pete Dye that makes that happen. But as a golfer, that makes it extra special, tying that all together, I presume.
It does. As a golfer and as a Purdue alumnus,
yeah,
the combination of the two, and then being able to do this between the golf course and the clubhouse, that's one of those where 1 + 1 = 3. It's even better than just the combination of the two.
Well, it's funny, and you're not one, as I think when I wrote a story about you a few years ago that I enjoyed very much doing, is humility is kind of your middle name, but it is an interesting story. Yes, the dollar figure, the $20 million plus was significant, but the fact that, and I think Devin Browse may have had some, you talked about a $5 or $10 million gift, and Mitch Daniels, the Purdue president at the time, had said, not many guys go up 2x on a gift like that. But what got you to say this is something that not only you but your family wants to support?
Well, the way it started was a number of people from the committee came to my course here in Atlanta and Crabapple Golf Course and Capital City Club. And we took them to, and I shared the story at Crabapple. The clubhouse is 1.2 miles from the front entrance. And this is a Tom Fazio design.
You're right.
And originally, when they built we're going to build the clubhouse, they wanted to put it at the front of the entrance, just because in that area, the liquor was allowed.
Yeah.
Back in the back, liquor was not allowed. And Tom Fazio said, you got enough high-powered people here. I think you can get a liquor license change. You need to put this clubhouse where it needs to be for the next 100 years. And that came back to bite me, because we did have a low and a high range. And they gave me 2 designs, one for the low and one for the high end. And both of those were on the north side.
Yeah.
And then they said, but you remember Tom Fazio said, you need to put the clubhouse where it needs to be for the next 100 years.
Yeah.
And if you want a 100-year clubhouse, then here's our proposal. And it was 2x. And so I chuckled a little bit with that and went back to talk to my wife and finally said, you know what, let's do it. And and then when I met with Mitch, that's when he said, I've had people come in and say, I'm not going to quite be able to do what I told you I was going to do. But he said, I don't know that I've had someone end up doing 2x of what you said the high number was before.
Yeah. Yeah. And the president, Mitch Daniels, former president, I will guarantee you will be making use of that course. Of course, a guy that loves to play golf, even in his quote unquote retired years from that standpoint. I'm curious, where on the north end, had you put it there? Were you going to put it? Where were the designs? Was it where the old locker room was, where it was going to be at the back end of the 18th hole on the Camp and Costler? What was the thought had you gone that direction?
One of them was close to the road, just on the north side. The other one was further up north, closer to the 18th hole, actually closer to the subdivision housing over there. And that was actually a concern as well. What I didn't want to do is help sponsor something that people were going to be upset about in their environment. And the negative with that second one would have been all the trucks, delivery trucks, et cetera, would have come around that side by the houses. And that wouldn't have been a good thing either.
It's funny. I have close friends that live in that Northwestern Heights subdivision, not golfers actually, though one of them did play at Summit at the time. He said they are just over the moon about this opportunity because, again, yes, it's a golf course, it's a clubhouse, but this is going to be, and we've talked about this offline, and it's a common theme around Purdue and around West Lafayette area is there, great banquet space, great space for events is at a premium, as evidenced by the Shively Club and of course all of that's being used in the quote unquote Purdue's press box. But this is going to be a public facility. It's a public golf course from that standpoint. Those are all big factors that I presume was important to you as this came about.
Very much so. Yeah, actually, it was very important for me that the people that live around there felt good about it. And what was interesting and what I felt really good about is one of the real positive feedbacks was by putting the roundabout in, it made people slow down.
Yeah.
That road and people that live there like that. I thought, okay, that's a great thing too. But no, you don't have to be a golfer to really enjoy this clubhouse. And like I said, the restaurant up above is just top notch. The views from up there are beautiful. You can sit outside there too. I think they said they're going to have about 7 tables outside on the balcony upstairs. So, and you don't have to play golf to enjoy looking at a golf course. If you can look at a golf course, have that type of ambiance, I think the community will really enjoy it.
All right. And your experience at Purdue obviously came, and I refreshed my memory from Northwestern High School, though you'd spent a lot of time growing up overseas as your dad was in the armed services. But talk about, your teammates and, where Purdue golf was under Sam Voynoff. I think your senior year, Joe Campbell came in as well. But talk about that, because Purdue's it's one of its 2 national championships in golf in 1961, and of course has been competitive on a national level. Both men and of course the women won the 2010 national championship as well under Coach Devin Browse. But talk about just that ability to attract that level, and even as a former player, what that means to your group. It is about competition too, and you want to have a place that can attract the best golfers in the country. And certainly this entire facility gives it Purdue an opportunity to do just that.
It definitely does. I mean, it's no secret. Every team or every university in the North is handicapped with the weather. You're going to hit golf balls inside or whatever. But if you can have a great facility like this for the team, I think it just reinforces to the individuals that Purdue is committed to having first-rate golf teams. And it was fun I got a chance to spend some time with both the women's and men's team at the inauguration, and you could see them beaming. They really are enjoying it. And I already had the coaches already indicated to me that they're already seeing some positive signs on the recruitment trail as a result of that. When you're able to show this type of facility, second to none, it adds to that commitment that even though you not have good weather in the winter, but you're going to have a great facility for golf and for spending time around the golf course.
And talk about, and I don't know how much, I know you're intimately aware of the entire facility, but I don't expect you to give me everything, but it is also interesting. It's an underground cart barn that was a big part of it, and the ability to make it as a functional golf clubhouse. But I'm just curious to that, but also the role of the current clubhouse that is on closer to the Camp and Costler course. How will that, to your knowledge, how will that work in terms of, will they still use both, I presume? I know they're going to use yours, but to talk about that a little bit.
I think the existing one will be used more by the team as a team facility, et cetera. I think what's worked out really well is, as you indicated, they've got the carts underneath, but they can still have overflow carts back on the other side where they used to keep them. Yeah. So for most events, you'll just have the carts right there on a normal day. But if you're having a big outing, you'll bring them in from the other side. And of course, putting in the tunnel underneath the road so people don't have to walk on the road is another great thing from a safety standpoint.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see, and I know, and due to open in April. Is that I think they talk about the restaurant opening on the 9th of April, if my memory is right, somewhere around that time.
I heard early April is what
Yeah, and that's going to be a spectacular thing. All right, obviously your day job back in the day was a distinguished career with John Deere, and all the way to CEO and running a company of that size is an impressive thing. As you look back at that, and as you tie that into the importance, you've always been a someone that could lead by example, mentor others. But that role, even as this ties into your, you've also supported the Cranderton Daniels School of Business at Purdue. But that importance of your experience and sharing that experience in one form or another. You're not one to toot your own horn too much, but it is an important thing. What are some of the lessons that people can take away from your experience, not only in the business world but the support of Purdue?
I think I mentioned to you the last time we talked, I probably was not the best supporter of Purdue early in my career.
Yeah.
And it continued to grow over time. I mean, I always loved Purdue, but living where I lived and just never got back other than to speak every once in a while at Cranard or for Mitch Daniels. But I had a board member who was a dean of Northwestern's business school.
Mm-hmm.
That he was telling me, he said, you can think of your life in three parts. The first third or so is all about your development, learning everything you can, being as well-rounded as you possibly can be. The second third of your life is all about driving with whatever you're interested in, being successful, taking it as far as you can. And then the third part of your life is all about giving back commensurate with the success that you have received. And I do kind of think of myself that way. I maybe more like 25% and 50% and then 25%. But, early on it was, developing as an individual at Purdue and reflecting back, probably I developed more there than what I realized at the time or early on in my career, as I thought back at later on about it. Then I had a wonderful 45-year career with Deere and continued to develop throughout that time, and even got to grow my desire to be impactful and help others by some of the jobs I had at Purdue, whether it was through our John Deere Foundation or other things that we did. I led a group of executives over in India. We did a week worth of volunteer work over there, and those things continue to develop. And then that's now led to this part of my life where our family has been extremely, extremely blessed, and we keep wanting now to find ways to be impactful and give back. And this certainly was one of them. It's at this point in time, it's the biggest one so far of the things that we've worked on. And it's not, the neat thing for me is my kids were all able, and grandkids able to be a part of it. And they're able to start experiencing that and understand the responsibility and the role that goes with that as well. So it's just been a very neat time for me in my life, that I've had the good fortune to be able to do this, and that what we're doing is turning out to be a pretty good thing.
Yeah, the ultimate in paying it forward. And I'm impressed by your desire to, it's about your kids, your grandkids, but also all the people that are going to be impacted at Purdue that are going to have access to this. One last question I wanted to ask is just about the role of not only your Marsh's role with golf, but also your parents. Your mom was very much involved with the game. I don't know if that was it was probably somewhat unique at the time. I don't know if that's fair to say, but just that passion for the game that was handed down to you from both. And I think I wrote in the article that your dad was never better than a 20 handicap, but loved the game. Talk about that and just and why that's extra meaningful, because it's really homage to your upbringing, your parents, your family. That's as much in my impression is behind this donation and this clubhouse as anything.
Yeah, especially my dad got me playing golf when I was 7 years old, living in
Yeah.
Germany. And you were right. He never was better than a 20 handicapper, but he loved the game of golf. Uh, and I enjoyed playing with him and his friends more than kids my age. I mean, because they were just neat people, had a good time. And he eventually, and then my brother, who's now since deceased, he got in the game and it quickly became a very good golfer. And my mom didn't pick the game up until she was in her late 50s. But back then, Golf Digest had that, most improved golfer award, and she won that. She cut like 25 strokes off her handicap in 1 year and could beat my dad. And the joke in our household was, well, I could beat my dad from my time I was 9 years old. Then my brother ended up beating him. Then mom did. Said, you're going to have to get the dog to play golf because that's the only one you have a chance to beat. But golf was, for us, a big part, but it was always public golf courses. And, my family was not affluent. We were never a part of a country club or anything like that. I caddied and had good fortune.
Evan Scholar, right? Yeah, right.
Evan Scholar. And actually, back then, the house was on the 9th green of the South Course. So golf for me was just, and I worked on a golf course my entire, from 8th grade on. And I actually worked in a pro shop and also worked out at night watering the greens, et cetera, like that. So golf has been a part of me for a long period of time, but I will tell you, it took on totally different meaning as an adult, especially in the last, say, 30 years, because I have just met some genuinely fantastic individuals on a golf course, true gentlemen. In fact, my son, who I have good fortune live a couple miles away from me, I've had him play with some of those people just so he could see, and they're very successful people, but what a true gentleman is like. And and they've enjoyed him, but it's one thing to come from dad, but then to have another person that you admire and see how they deport themselves on a golf course and treat people and everything else. I think it's a great learning environment for your kids.
Yeah, it is the true testament. You can tell so much about a person, how they handle themselves in their golf course, how they are considerate of others, not necessarily how good they are. That's not always it. It's just it is truly that. And Sam, you're a Purdue treasure, and we appreciate you taking the time to join us today. And I look forward to hopefully someday meeting you in person at the Sam and Marsha Allen clubhouse, and it will be. I think everybody in this community really looking forward to that opening up. So, and maybe we'll also be able to enjoy for Purdue basketball fans, a good run here in over the next few weeks in Purdue basketball. I know you pay attention. You were at the UCLA game with your family. That was a big. That was a pretty good environment, by the way, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was very good. I also want to say one thing.
Yeah, by all means.
It's not the Sam and Marsha Allen clubhouse. It's the Pete Dye clubhouse.
Well, that's right. And that's right. Donated by, and give a second to explain that, because that is an important part of this, and my faux pas there, but the whole, there's a real reason behind that, and talk about that real quick.
Yeah. I never actually, I think I mentioned to you back when Ackerman Allen was not supposed to be about me. It was an honor of my dad.
Right.
And so when we did the clubhouse, Marsha and I both agreed early on, but because she certainly didn't want her name on it as well.
Yeah.
But Pete Dye has meant so much to Purdue and Purdue golf, and getting to know him, see what a wonderful man he is. Yeah, I just thought it was important that. This complex is his vision. And had he not done what he did with both golf courses, if you had a clubhouse like this, but you had the old golf courses, it wouldn't be very good.
No, not be the same.
So this really was, we wanted to be Pete Dye Clubhouse, in honor of the vision that Pete Dye had for all of the Purdue Golf Complex. And we're glad that his name's on it.
Yeah, nobody, and that is probably epitomizes your humble approach and your family's humble approach to this. That it is about somebody that certainly changed the whole course of Purdue golf just by. And of course, Devin Browse's arrival around that time as well was very, very important to Purdue, but it changed that whole complex again. So thanks again so much for your time. I always enjoy it. And like I said, we'll look forward to seeing you. I know this will give you more reason to come up here, especially in the more golf playing time of year. But the Pete Dye Clubhouse will be a 20 or a 12-month facility that will have a chance to be enjoyed by everybody. So enjoy the rest of your weekend. Thanks so much for your time, Sam.
Boiler up.
Yeah.